Hello, folks. Welcome to Let's Talk Sport, the home of talking sport, I guess you could say. I'm Jamie Davis, and my word, it's been a long time since I've sat here doing a live stream of any kind on YouTube. So it's great to be back, and what a time to do it on the eve of the brand new Premier League season. We've had Liverpool win it. As a United fan, that was torturous, but that's in the past. They're living in the history books as always. But from tomorrow, it's a fresh start for my team and for every other 19 teams also taking part over the next 9 months or so of English Premier League football. The EFL started last weekend, but the Premier League, the proper one, starts this weekend. And after, well, let's be honest, our existence hasn't really been great, has it, since the end of May? You know, we've had the farcical FIFA Club World Cup, which I can't even remember who won it. Who won that one again? Oh, what? Apparently it was Chelsea. Somehow missed that. And they're the best teams in the world now? How's that work? What? They beat PSG? What? Okay, this is what I mean by the Club World Cup. Why? Just why? Anywho, but apparently we got the best team in the world playing in the Premier League of Chelsea. That happened. But of course, we did get to see the England women's team bring home the Euros for the second time in a row. So at least we had something good happen over the summer. But finally, the wait is nearly over. And of course, at this time of the season, when we're all about to kick off, every man and his dog and every nerd on the computer screens who love football are getting their fantasy Premier League team sorted for the kickoff tomorrow night, which it all starts at Anfield between Liverpool and AFC Bournemouth. Now, wouldn't it be funny if Bournemouth won that opener? Liverpool lost to Palace in the Community Shield last Sunday, so it's fair to say Virgil van Dijk is still trying to find his feet after messing up in that game. Will Mo Salah play well after his contract renewal? Will he continue his form? How many people will pick him for the fantasy team? The big question is, who will I be selecting for the Fantasy Premier League this season? Now, you've probably seen on the thumbnail and the title of this video, while I do this live, I am going to be playing, and hopefully throughout the season, keep you up to date as to which players I'm going for. Maybe I'll give you some tips if you really call me an expert. I am one of those kind of people, and my friends who are probably watching this know I'm a guy that will play the first few weeks of this and then forget to update it throughout the rest of the season, but yet I still win the league anyway. I bloody wish. But this time I'm going to try and take it very seriously. I somehow got through the Club World Cup, Fantasy League, and got all the way to the end of that. And I actually topped my friend's league. I know there was only 7 of us, but I'll take it. It's better than nothing. So I'm trying to hopefully keep that form going into the Premier League season. But I do have one rule that I've got to follow when I select my team tonight, right in front of your eyes. And that is, I can only select one player per club. That is correct. So that means that my starting 11 can only be from one club. So, for example, I can't have 2 United players. I can't have 2 Brighton players. It has to be one player per club. That doesn't mean I have to include all the clubs, because there's 20 clubs and there's only 11 places. So obviously, if you look at the maths of it, I'd say it's not very possible. But I have included a little bit into that rule, saying that I can have more than one player from the same club as long as they're not in the starting lineup. So we are allowed to select 15 players, £100 million that we get to spend on our team. This is going to be an interesting challenge. I've sort of penciled in who I want, but let's see if I stick with that selection when we go through it. So I think before we start, if anyone's got any messages or anything they want to share on the live chat page, do send us your messages throughout the stream and I'll read them out. It'd be good to hear from you. We will, of course, be selecting my fantasy team in the next few minutes. If you're new here, do click that subscribe button. Give us a like as well. We've been a bit slow with some content recently, but I'm hoping now with the football season back, I will start to get back into it. I'd like to thank Joe Stanley, beautiful man that he is, despite the fact that he's very busy with Tranmere Rovers, was able to do a watch-along for us for the Women's Euro watch-along final between England and Spain a few weeks ago. And my word, they all came for Joe Stanley. We had over 20,000 watch Joe Stanley realised that England had won yet again. I've just got a message on our live chat page. We finally got our first message. But Joe Stanley is sexy, that sexy beast. He certainly got a lot of people watching him that day, and I would have done the same, but I didn't actually know he streamed it till afterwards. So apologies there, Stanners. We got Andrew Pollard, and it's got a crown next to him saying number one. Is that your number one fan, or does that mean you're just the king in everything? Which sounds about right. I mean, this is a guy who looks like Andrew Pirlo, and I call him Andrew Pirlo. He is the Welsh Pirlo, I'd like to call him. He's got the beard. He's got the hair. Okay, Andrea Pirlo didn't wear glasses, but, Andrew Pollard, or Andrew Pirlo, as we like to call him, makes him look sexier. He said that Defo need to do 15 players from 15 clubs. All right. I'll do that. All right, fine. Forget that little bracket in the rule. But yes, I'm intrigued to see who I'm going to select now. I got names, but it's been difficult because, of course, straight away I'm thinking Bruno Fernandes at United, along with Sesko. I can't have both. I can only go with one of them. But anyway, without further ado, I don't want to make this intro go on forever. Let's go straight into it then. So there's the rule below me there. One player per club in the starting 11. But as Andrew Pollard is the boss, it looks like I've got to go for 15 players from 15 different clubs. And also, if you want to join the Let's Talk Sport Fantasy League, the code is up there, right above me. It is TB7X28. TB and X being lowercase. No need to do any capitals. No symbols there. I'd like to thank Jamie Burgoyne for putting that in for me. He literally told me minutes before the stream, and I was like, "Oh God, yeah, good shout. We need people to join our league. We'd love you to join." Sadly, no prizes, but it'd be a good laugh throughout the season. So here we are then. As you can see, all blank. 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards that we've got to fill up over the next few minutes here. Where are we going to begin? I think. It's probably the easiest place to start, and that is goalkeepers. Now, goalkeepers, I don't think it's that easy when you think of the Premier League. I'll say this now, my favourite goalkeeper, and as much as I hate to say it as a Manchester United supporter, it is Alisson. I think he's a terrific goalkeeper, but then when I think about who I want in this squad, there's someone else I want from Liverpool, I think. So I might not be able to select him. I am looking through the list as we speak. And I've just noticed that when I scroll down, the whole thing scrolls down. So I haven't really thought this through. You have got to put up with that, I'm afraid. So if I go with goalkeeper, and straight away my first thinking is, he's an England number 1. He's been our best goalkeeper for a good few years now, and that is Jordan Pickford of Everton. I hope you can see the screen okay, folks. If there's any blur, just let me know. I'm hoping you can see it. But Jordan Pickford at 5.5 million. So that means if we go with him, we will not be able to select anyone else for Everton. Other goalkeepers then. I must admit, I'm a big fan. And I was actually watching the Super Cup, only a bit of it last night, where Tottenham Spursed it up. I'm a big fan of Vicario of Tottenham. I don't think he's a bad goalkeeper. So he's going to be my number 2. Let's get him in. He got a total points of 66 points last season in the Fantasy League. And he was 5 million. So we've already spent 10.5 million for our goalkeepers there. I'll be honest, Pickford will probably be my starter come this weekend. The one thing I've not actually considered is who they're playing this weekend, because that, if you don't believe their team's going to win, then maybe it's best not to have Pickford in and instead have Vicario. I'm not sure, but we'll see. On to defenders. 5 defenders to select. Like I say, I have made some notes. And look, I had to pick him over Alisson, and that is Virgil van Dijk. I think it's actually a risk taker because he actually didn't play well against Palace last weekend. And okay, there's nothing wrong in a quality player like him to have a moment. But you always wonder, is this the start of him falling? You never know. You got to be open minded to these things. I personally, um, I'm going to say this now. I don't think Liverpool are going to win the league this season. I think it's very different this year. I think they're going to be competing. There's no doubt about that. They've made quite a bit of recruitment as well, and they spent more money than Infantino did on the trophy presentation of the FIFA Club World Cup. And we're talking close margins, people. Especially when you have to get Donald Trump involved. It can't be that cheap. I mean, it was funny when he messed it up, though, wasn't it, Trump? Jesus Christ. But anyway, Virgil van Dijk, 6 million. I must admit, I thought it'd be a bit pricier than that. But at home to Bournemouth tomorrow, you'd think Van Dijk will claw it back after what happened last Sunday and do it at Anfield for the Liverpudlians. So 6 million for Virgil van Dijk. My next one, and I'm a big fan of this one, from Aston Villa. So Liverpool, Everton and Tottenham, we've picked players from them. Next up, it is Aston Villa with Alex Moreno. 4 million in his first game will be against Newcastle this weekend at home. He got 34 points last season. And Villa just missed out on Champions League football on the final day. And as Andrew Pollard, as we mentioned, Villa, Andrew Pollard says, no Grealish. Interesting. See, I kind of forgot he went to Everton. So yeah, I have picked Pickford over Grealish. But will Grealish start this weekend? I always find new signings never seem to start. They always seem to start from the bench at least. I'd rather just get them out there. You may as well just learn as you go with your teammates. So Alex Moreno joining Virgil van Dijk. Now, who's next? Now, I love this guy, and I'm quite glad he's not playing at Man United just for the fantasy team selection right now. And that is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who I absolutely love. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I was good when United let him go. I would have kept him just because of how reliable he was. And just the fact that, okay, he couldn't attack that well, but my word, he could defend. Just his spider wrap tackles, as I like to call it, just absolutely brilliant. And he's had a good season with West Ham, I'd say. And look at how many points he got. 118 points last season in his debut season for West Ham. I think it was his debut season. I'm sure it was. It was only last summer we lost him, I think. But yes, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 4.5 million. And they'll be away to Sunderland at the Stadium of Light this weekend. Next up, we have, you could say, another ex-United player. And that is Tuanzebe of Burnley this season. There he is, XL Tuanzebe. And his first games aren't that easy. Tottenham away, followed by Sunderland at home, and then Man United away. So he'll be against his old club very soon. But yeah, Tuanzebe, I had to think about being a bit cheap with my defenders just to be able to afford the £100 million budget. So Tuanzebe wouldn't have been my first choice, but I like him, so I like to give him a shot. Who remembers that game? I think it was a lockdown match, October 2020, I think it was. And it was Manchester United at Parc des Princes in the Champions League group stages. And they had a hard group because they had PSG, RB Leipzig, and one of the Turkish clubs. I can't remember. I think it might have been Besiktas. I might be wrong there. But Man United opened the campaign with a 2-1 win at PSG, which was quite a good result for United, even though it was behind closed doors. But Tuanzebe played brilliantly. He played a blinder that night against Mbappe and Neymar. That was 5 years ago now. Where's that gone? But yes, back when football was in lockdown, I feel like that was a forgettable time in football. Right, last defender. I've just got to remind myself. Yeah. And again, quite a budget on this one. But when you look at how well Forest played last season, Morello being one of the main centre halves for them, there he is. He's added for 5.5 million. They've got Brentford this weekend at home. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how Forest get on this season under Nuno. They had a great season last year. I don't think many people expected it. Everyone thought Nuno was... Well, I don't know if being past his best would have been fair, but I don't know. I just find that I just find that when you don't do so well at Spurs, like the way he did, you just think that could really damage a manager's reputation. But no, fair play. Forest have backed him. Well, the owners have, but also has had moments with Nuno. But I'm looking forward to seeing how Forest get on. My mate Connor, if you're watching, I know he's excited for the new season. He's already bought the shirt. He's got the new shirt, and it is a nice home shirt this time. And that was before they put the sponsor on the shirt. So Connor's done well there, because I think shirt without sponsors are a bit more special. So, midfielders, let's go into that category then. So, midfielders, I like to go a bit crazy on forwards and midfielders, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that I feel like will get me the most points. So, for midfielders, this was tricky, because I'm going to say this now, as we know. Look, Liverpool, we've already got Van Dijk in the team. So that means I cannot have Mohamed Salah. But when I looked at the price for him, and I thought, I'm going to say it right now. Is this the season when Mo Salah isn't as good as he has been? I have no reasons or any evidence or any proof to suggest that this will happen. We don't know. We have to just sit back and watch. But, Mo Salah, he's in his 30s. I always find some players, when they sign a new contract, can be a bit hit and miss. So you never know. You never know. I did have him in my squad, but 14.5 million, I'd have had no chance getting a whole squad with Mo Salah in it. I had to sacrifice him. But I had to go for, when we talk Man United, finally my United selection. I mean, let's be honest, who else was it going to be? A proven Premier League player, probably United's best player since Fergie left, and that is Bruno Fernandes of Portugal. 9 million, less than over 5 million cheaper than Mo Salah. So that made sense. I was always going to have Fernandes. He's Andrew, who's actually watching the stream, he shared me a tweet the other day, which was the stats from Bruno since he's been at United. But now imagine, and the stats were great, by the way, one of the best players in the world in European football when you look at the stats. But imagine what he could be like with Mbeumo, Cunha, and Sesko up front this season. Look, I'm trying to not get carried away. We've been here before, but on paper, it's looking good. And I think finally Bruno wants to not take a step back, but not have to be responsible for everything and be able to play his own game in a way. Hopefully, he's less stressed this season, but we'll see. You never know with Man United. Right. So, next midfielder. So, United are done. And we go from one Bruno to another. And that is Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes. I can never pronounce his name correctly. 6.5 million. I'm intrigued to see how Newcastle do this season. I think there's been a lot of shit going on behind closed doors during the summer, which, after Newcastle got that last spot in the Champions League, thanks to United, just want to say that. You're welcome. There's something, I feel like the Isak situation is a huge distraction. I mean, what is Isak doing as well? Respect the club. There's nothing wrong in wanting to get a move to Liverpool or Real Madrid, a big club, but be open-minded with the fact that if you come out and say it completely, the club's not going to want you. Well, the fans aren't going to want you, and they're not going to want to see you in that shirt again. I think I've already seen stuff online of people burning an Isak Newcastle shirt. I mean, is that over the top? Look, at the end of the day, when you see a club make Isak who he is, I think it's a real shame to see it end this way. Look, I know I'm a United fan and we have our rivalry with Newcastle, but I think it's great to see Newcastle back up there competing in Europe. I think that's fantastic. Even seeing Forest up there in the Europa League this season, it's great to see clubs who have great history are starting to come back up. I love it. Hopefully Man United do it this season. Hey, probably an unpopular comment, but who knows? But I had to go with Bruno. I think he's a terrific midfielder. 135 points he got last season. 6.5 million for that. If he could do it this season, tremendous. We do have an update from Andrew Pollard. He says, keep in mind that there's a rule change this season where midfielders and defenders get points for tackles and ball retrieval, meaning defensive midfielders have more upside now. I didn't know that, which is the best time to do that to me, Andrew Pollard. I think that's what's It's annoying because the Club World Cup rules of the Fantasy League didn't do that, and neither did the Women's Euros, I don't think. So it's definitely a new one. But I'm surprised we haven't had this before. I mean, the role of a defensive midfielder has pretty much been like that for quite a few years in modern day football. So the fact that that's happening now is annoying when I'm selecting my team. I mean, I could start looking at alternatives. So I've got to scroll down while I look onto the left-hand side, which doesn't help you guys. I will say this now, actually, while I remember. Justin Kluivert, he was going to make my team originally, but he's injured with a calf injury, and they don't know when he's coming back, and I just feel like that's a big risk right now. Alex asks, is Rodgers in for game week 1? You'll find out. Probably not. But yeah. I just seen Kluivert on the list there, and I really wanted him, but he's injured. I've been a big fan of Kluivert last season. I must admit, I didn't rate him that much at Leipzig, but since he's come to Bournemouth, he's been terrific. And I actually went to Molineux Stadium last year, and when was this? December or the day after my birthday? It was the day after my birthday. And he scored a hat-trick of penalties. First player to ever do that, and only player to ever do that, by scoring a hat-trick of penalties since the Premier League started in the early 90s. That was an interesting fact. So, yeah, just shows how good of a season he was. But you also got to look at the Wolves goalkeeper and think, really? 3 penalties against the same player, you still can't save it? What are you doing? Next up, for midfielders. This is a bit of an out of nowhere one, really, and you know what? I actually kind of forget that this is happening, and that is. Oh wait, hang on, where is he? I can't find him. It's not turned up. He was here. There we go. Yep, here we go, folks. Drum roll, and I know a certain person will like this, but I can't believe he's here. Granit Xhaka. It's a risk. It's a risk. He's cheap, 5 million, and he's going to be in a team of Sunderland players that I think Sunderland will go straight back down, sadly. But I think Xhaka might have an all right season. Let's find out. It's a risk taker. But I actually keep forgetting he's coming back to the Premier League, which I've never even looked into the transfer for that, to be honest. I mean, Bayer Leverkusen have just lost their main key players, apart from maybe Patrick Schick. I think he's still there. Eric Ten Hag's got quite a job this season to even get them competing after Xavi Alonso left. So yeah, that's Granit Xhaka. So that's Sunderland ticked off. Right next to Newcastle on our squad selection as well. I thought that was quite fitting. Next one, and you've got to include a Crystal Palace player. I mean, after the season they've had and also winning the Shield last weekend. And the one player that, I mean, let's see. We'll have to keep an eye on him between now and the end of the summer transfer window. But he's still a Crystal Palace player. And that is Eze. Love Eze. Great player. He makes things look so easy. That was good, wasn't it? Yeah, I know. You can thank me later. I mean, he got 148 points last season. 7.5 million. I still think that's cheap. But, again, how will Palace do this season? We're hearing rumours that Mark Gay is he's apparently rumoured to join Liverpool. Andrew Pollard says that Xhaka was announced as Sunderland captain today too. What can I say? Will I play him as my captain? No. Sorry, Granite. Right, next one. Now this is when it was getting tough because I needed to think about my forwards. Actually, when I was doing this earlier, it was actually more make sure I had enough money for my defenders. So I had to bring this one in, but I'm a big fan of his. He's got a great hard work ethic. But yeah, Giffen family says Mateta a good shout for Palace player. Yeah, I must admit I wasn't a big fan of his last weekend. I thought he messed up a few times. Some of his shots were terrible, but he is a terrific player. He was linked to United, I think, at one point earlier this summer. But it looks like he's staying put, and I think Palace are going to desperately need him if Eze and Mark Gay are going to go. But this player next up for Brighton is Matoma, who he's a terrific player. I I think he's a hard-working bastard, and that's why I'm going for him. And he got 145 points last season, 6.5 million, and it looks like his first game is against Fulham this weekend. Then they've got Everton away, Man City at home. Let's see how he does. But points per match on average, it looks like he was getting around 4 points last season. So now the forwards. This is the most exciting part. I love the forwards part of fantasy. Of course, there's a few strikers coming in here and there. It's been quite the transfer window for strikers. It certainly has been that kind of market. Look, I'll be honest. I'm going to start with the obvious one, and with how reliable he is, even if he doesn't turn up in the biggest of games, it's got to be Erling Haaland. Only 0.5 million cheaper than Mo Salah, but I'm more confident City are going to have a better season than Liverpool. I don't know why that makes me feel like that. I just think there's one manager that's going to get things back to the best. It's Pep Guardiola. I feel with this Man City team, he's made some good signings, especially Jerky, who I think is going to be a good transfer for the midfield for Man City. But Erling Haaland, the only downfall I think he's got this season is there's no Kevin De Bruyne, and him and Kevin De Bruyne are linked up, probably the best in the league the last few years. What will Haaland do without him? We'll find out. But I think City have got quite a season coming up in terms of transition. Will they win the league? I don't know. I'd say Liverpool have a better chance than City, but don't rule out Man City. But we'll talk about their next team, who we could. Well, this transfer that they've made could put them at the top. I'm intrigued to see if they can do it because, quite frankly, they've been missing a striker since Thierry Henry or Robin van Persie, you could say, and that is Victor Gyökeres for Arsenal. 9 million. I think that's cheap for someone. Well, the main regret could be that he's not played in the Premier League yet. He's not a Premier League proven player. Okay, in terms of English leagues, he played for Coventry in the Championship for a little while. Andrew Pollard himself saw him live in the flesh as they were the losing team against Wrexham at the Ricoh Arena in an FA Cup tie a couple or so years ago. But look what he did in that one season with Sporting Lisbon. Quite extraordinary. I don't think he's going to score that many goals in the Premier League, but can he get 20 or more? I think that'll be his target. And I think for Arsenal, it's a statement of a signing. I'm excited to see how he does. It's annoying as a United fan to see Arsenal get a striker like Gyökeres, because at one point United were looking at him, but I think it was always going to be difficult. And I think Gyökeres wants Champions League football, so it was very difficult for United to probably convince him. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see how he does. I don't think he's going to be much of a risk to have in your fantasy team. But okay, of course, like I said, he hasn't played in the Premier League before. Let's see how he does. Next one, and it's our final slot, and we have £8 million left to spend. And I'm actually going to go for a man who's on a mission right now, and he's been tremendous from the get-go. It's weird to talk about a transfer that has already played quite a few games, and we haven't even started the Premier League yet. This is what happens when you have the Club World Cup going on. And that is the Club World Champions, and that is Chelsea with João Pedro. I think Pedro's been tremendous. I can't believe how well he's got himself into the Chelsea shirt. The guy literally was signed during the tournament, and then he flew to America, and on his debut, I think he scored twice, and then he scored again in the final. I mean, you can't ask for any more. And then even in the friendlies, he's been tremendous. He's just fit in straight away. And I really do think Chelsea could actually compete for the league this season. I think they're the dark horses. I know the Club World Cup was a farcical, but you got to take it to they still had to beat a few good teams to get there. They had to beat PSG, the best team in the world in most of our views, beat them convincingly as well in that final. I know PSG might have been tired because it had been a long season for them, but it was the same for Chelsea. So, I think we should keep an eye on Chelsea. And Cole Palmer is the one player I'd love to have in this squad, but I don't think I'd be able to afford him. So yeah. Right. Yes. So João Pedro completes it. Actually, looking at Chelsea, how are they starting this season? They've got Palace at home, West Ham at home. Sorry, West Ham away and Fulham at home. So they've got a decent start. You know, this is what I mean. I think if João Pedro is fit, he should be good for all 3 games, and I wouldn't be surprised if he scored in all 3 of them. Him and Cole Palmer are going to be really exciting to watch. So I'm going to say it. I think Chelsea could win it this season. I really do. I think they could win the Premier League. I think they've got maybe a better chance than Man City. Probably not the same chance as Liverpool, but I think if Arsenal's Gyökeres link-up doesn't work out, then I think Arsenal will be trying to fight for top 4. But let's see. But anyway, that is our squad. So going back to it, and please tell me if I've got it wrong. If I've got 2 players from the same club, do say so. But I think I've got it right. So you got Jordan Pickford of Everton in goal, along with Tottenham's Vicario. Those are your goalkeepers. Not so sure about Vicario. I think Pickford will be my starter. Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool, Alex Moreno of Aston Villa, Aaron Wan-Bissaka for West Ham, Twanzebe, XL Twanzebe, that is, for Burnley, and Morello for Nottingham Forest. Our midfield from left to right, Bruno Fernandes, our Manchester United captain, along with Bruno Guimaraes of Newcastle United. Granit Xhaka, yes, that is Granit Xhaka in a Sunderland shirt. Eze in midfield for Crystal Palace and Matomo for Brighton. And then the front 3, we've got Erling Haaland for Manchester City, Gyökeres of Arsenal, and João Pedro, a new transfer for Chelsea back in the summer. So that's it. And now I've got to save this team. So let's click Enter Squad. Now, I've been thinking about my team name, and of course, as a United fan, I've got to go with this. I'm going to go for... if I can, Cisco-lating. Yeah. Sorry, it had to be done. I'm trying to think how to spell it. Cisco. Do I do an I? Yeah. Elating. Yeah. Cisco-lating, is that right? I've got to check this. Oh, we've got Andrew Pollard saying that's the same front 3 as me. What can I say, Andrew? 2 great minds think alike, but you are also Welsh. But let's look at scintillating. I'm just reminding myself how to spell it. I don't want to get this wrong. Scintillating. Oh, it's 2 L's. Yeah, 2 L's. I don't know whether to have the O. Sciscolating. Sciscolating. It's a terrible name, but I like it. Scintillating is my favourite word. So, yeah, sciscolating. I've got to pick my favourite club as well, apparently. Well, sadly, I think you all know it's not Man City. Can I change the E to a... I'm going to have to try and be a bit cheeky here. Hang on a moment. Let me just... If I can do this, this will be... no, actually, it doesn't matter. Actually, no, maybe it does. Let me try this. If I can do this, this will be cool. Yes. Yes. Oh, no, we want an S. Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to look like it is part of Cisco so people know it's him. There we go. Look, Ciscolating. Or should it be Ciscolating? I don't know. Ciscolating? I'm spending more time about my squad. I'm spending more time on my team name than my squad. Ciscolating. But Ciscolating. Oh, I don't know. Ciscolating. Ciscolating. Let's go with Ciscolating. That's at least you get the full name in there. Yeah. Ciscolating. And that is my team. Enter the squad. Here we go. Oh, now what's it doing? Generate your custom team badge. Let's do it later. Just get a picture of Cisco on it. And I am going to join the league. That is, if you haven't joined it yet, folks, the league is above you. Unless I'm already in it. Join a league. I think it's a public league. No. I just want to join a league. What do I do? join a league. Oh, hang on. I'm not making this look easy, am I? Oh, here we go. Enter league. Here we go. TB7X28. That's the code to join our league, folks. You're more than welcome to join us. Am I in it? Yes. And there's quite a few there. That's I quite like some of these names actually. Baba Mamouche, Powered by Gravy, Andrew Pollard sporting a semi. I'm quite happy with mine sciscolating. I'm quite happy with that one. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up there, folks. So thanks very much for watching. I'm going to try and do maybe a weekly thing of updating you why I'm with the team and who I'd be picking for the next round of games. But also, my aim next week is to do a Serie A one and a Bundesliga one. If I do any more, I won't have a life and the missus will kill me. So keep an eye out for that. Serie A and Bundesliga fantasy leagues next week because they start next weekend on the 22nd of August, I believe. So anyway, if you haven't joined the league yet, there's the code above. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you very soon on Let's Talk Sport. And good luck to all the fantasy players, apart from those that are in my league. See you later.